Thank you, Juan. And yes, I am Leif Erikson. I've stopped exploring continents, so I'm focused on data right now. So a show of hands, how many people have used either OpenAI, Anthropic, or Gemini to solve problems, get information, etc.? Pretty much everybody. Well, guess what? You can't get access to the information that we focus on here at the Industrial Data Hub. So that information comes from facilities like this. This happens to be a cement plant, but every industrial facility around the globe produces a ton of data, mostly what we call time series data or sensor data, streaming every second, every minute, depending on the type of data. That data typically stays inside the four walls of this plant here. And that hasn't really changed in 4 decades. How do I know this? Because I started my career working with that data 4 decades ago. And so that's a world that we call operational technology. It's about a $65 billion market. It's very distinct from information technology or consumer technology. It's sensors, it's control systems, it's databases, et cetera. The purpose of that technology is to help companies do all these things down here. Improve asset reliability, improve efficiency, better use energy, et cetera, safety. I want to focus on one of those things because one of the reasons we're doing this is that it helps not just improve these companies' metrics, it helps make the world a better place. So energy management, energy efficiency, or sustainability. If we improve energy efficiency in the industrial sector by 2 to 3% every year, that's equivalent to not putting 400 million metric tons of CO2 into the atmosphere, or the same as putting 27 million battery electric vehicles on the road today. And we can do that with data and analytics, or data and AI. This is a solution. So I mentioned that things haven't changed. We're still managing that data at a local level. The solution is to get the data into the cloud, and we've created that solution. Why are we going to win? It's this team right here. So Jack Lay, I've known these guys for a long time, not as friends, but as colleagues. Now we've become friends, now that we've been working together. And Jack is absolutely the best salesperson in the industrial software world. And you can see that with his accomplishments. John Peterson is the world's leading expert on systems that capture, manage, analyze, share data, time series data, sensor data, that specialized data that comes out of industrial operations. And then there's myself. I just brought it all together. I'm scratching the itch that I've had for 2 decades. Oh, and Alon has managed all of our operations for us. So where are we at? The platform is built. I mean, John has done an incredible job. Not only is he the world's expert in this area, but he's a 10 times developer. And at the same time, he's learned how to use those AI tools I talked about earlier to amplify his own power, so to speak. We have 2 customers we've been talking to for several months now. We believe we're going to close them. We're confident we're going to close them. Why? It's exactly for the reason I told you earlier, which is they don't have an option. They have to get this data in the cloud. They have to aggregate it across all of their facilities as well as across the industry to get the value that they need to get from that. And that's all been done through bootstrapping. When we talk about TAM in this context, we're being very prescribed. We're only focusing on 3 industries right now: chemicals, cement, and steel, and just in North America. The opportunity, of course, is much larger than that. As you saw earlier, the operational technology market size is about $65 billion. But those industries, we can get or the available market there is $230 million just in North America. And you can see the math there. The SAM is pretty much the same as the TAM. And why is that? It's because if you think about platform businesses on the internet, those businesses benefit from scale and a pseudo-monopolistic type position. And so we believe we're going to have the first mover advantage, et cetera, et cetera. If you're looking for an example of where this could go, look at what Samsara has done in the trucking industry. Different business to a certain extent, but conceptually very similar. So what is our ask? Our ask is $3 million. $3 million gets us 2 years of runway, mainly through enhancing the product team, getting support for John, but also some sales activity, et cetera. We've got very detailed financial projections. Theoretically, that could be enough. But if we really want to put the pedal to the metal, then we'll probably raise some more money down the road. And there you have it.
You hear me? Thanks, Leif. So I've had the opportunity to talk to him and his team before, and when I look at this, just for some feedback, you got a team that's worked together before, solving a really, really big problem, and knowing the market that they're attacking first, right? You talked about chemical, cement, steel, and then you looked at that market, which is a big enough opportunity and a big win, and then you have a huge win if you're able to expand outside of that. So as you look at the presentation, team that's done it before and has deep industry expertise, big enough problem for an investor to come after, and then know the lane and know the expansion opportunity that's there. Now, if I look at this sale, and as you go to market, it seems like a land and expand opportunity. Your customers probably have multiple plants. You have a ton of different value props that you can offer to those customers based on the data that you get. And so I'm curious, when you land, as you're rolling out with these customers, what proof points would you want to see by when? So value prop that you would attack first, and how long until you're able to show value when you get into the customer?
Good question. So we expect we'll show value fairly quickly because if you think about where these customers are at, let's just take that cement example. And actually one of the customers we're talking to now has 12 plants around North America. When they start to get that data in a central location and they start to be able to see that data in a way that they haven't been able to see it before, they'll start to be able to make decisions about how they manage quality, how they manage energy efficiency, reliability, et cetera, much better, much more quickly, much more effectively than before. So we think they'll realize it very quickly with that first plant. The first plant proof of concept will be, oh wow, we can actually get the data there, we can see the data, we can analyze it in a way that we couldn't before, and that'll be the proof point. And then they'll say, okay, let's roll it out to the other 12 plants.
I think the benefit of that too is once you establish ROI, you can kind of back into that, the value creation and what you can charge for these customers as you start to expand to different customers and different plants. So it makes sense.
Yeah, no, overall I thought it was very, very good. I think what I liked about it is it established credibility from the get-go on the front end with the milestones and the team. And one of the things as investors we're always looking for is there are lots of people who have ideas and there's tons of risk. So we're always looking at what are things that de-risk things in our mind, and having a team that's been there before and actually done something is really, really helpful. So I liked it. I'm always pushing, I'm not a reader, I can read. So I'm always looking for things a little bit more visual and scannable, but I think it depends on context. I know all those words, but I prefer to like focus on you, right? So I'm a short bullet kind of person, but overall I get it. I think, my background is as a technologist and as a product person. So one thing I always like to see or better understand is like what is it? Exactly what is it? Is there an interface? Is it a web interface? Is it a service? Is it software? Like, what is the blend? So I like to have always a slightly better picture of like, I understand the opportunity. I understand how you guys have worked in there, and I understand it can have real impact. And I really do like how you start your presentation with like why you should listen to me, why this matters. I would like just a little bit more of like, this is what it is. And that helps me visualize, okay, is this an enterprise software play? Is this a service play? Is it somewhere in between? Whatever it is. Because, every one of us is going to come from a different background, and you don't always know. So you have to address it a little bit without it getting hardcore engineering.
Yeah, no, good point. We do have an architecture slide. I didn't include it today. It is a cloud service, as was mentioned earlier.
In architecture, like, is it like a consulting engagement you're installing? You have this thing that they would sign up for? Is there a lot of customizations that are going along with that? Is it tailored uniquely to, is there a common data lake kind of thing, and it's tailored uniquely to them? Like, I'm trying to understand, like, what is it that?
IDH Cloud is a platform, a database, et cetera, where the data will reside. It's a system of record for our customers, effectively. There is some custom work that's required to get the data from their sites, because every site, every customer has different systems in place to pull the data from. We don't want to be doing that long term. That's not our goal. We're focused on the management of the data piece. So we'll partner on that part, and there's a lot of companies that do that. But in the short term, we'll be doing some of that ourselves. So mainly it's a recurring revenue service that will generate ARR for the company. Again, very similar to what Samsara is doing, and
Which I think is a great example. It's just not one I know, and I really like the idea that you are making that connection. So is it something where someone logs on and all this data is tied in through APIs or whatever, and then they have a great reporting tool and they can query it to see interesting answers to things?
They can apply AI, they can create visualization. You can see these machines side by side on a screen. And compare them. You can take all that data, bring it all together, apply AI to it. So now you get access to that. If you've got those tools, you can now use those tools on that data, which was not possible before because the data was not accessible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is exciting. Having personally come out of a career that's rooted in legacy industry and brick and mortar automotive, this really connects with me, the need for OT and just how much unlocked data there is just sitting inside these buildings. So conceptually, I get it. I love that you touched on the energy efficiency gains and what that can do for the world. I mean, that is such a cool byproduct of what you're solving for. So what is attractive to me was the vertical depth that you can go in here, even though this is broad ranging versus just like depth, not just breadth. It was exciting, so you could focus on that. Similar to Joe, one of the thoughts that was going through my mind was the cost of onboarding and implementation, because what I'm curious about, what is the quality of the data? So how much work will be in just structuring that to even make it harvestable and accessible? So had that question, and what amount of the ask would be burned in that component of onboarding, those initial 2 to 3, and then the fast follow?
That's an excellent question. The customers will pay for the onboarding. So that will be at cost. We don't look to make any money off that, and as I mentioned, we'll outsource a large part of that over time. But it will depend. So some customers will have their data in a data historian already. In fact, probably in the Pi data historian, which John actually built. Pi 3 was a product that his team built a number of years ago, and that's very simple, getting the data out of that. That's a one button type setup. He's already got that set up. Where the data may be in multiple systems, it's a little bit more complex, but that's part of the contract, right? You write that in the contract. You say, we're gonna do assessment. These are the systems you have. You've got a data storing, you've got a quality system, you've got a maintenance system. We've got to get data out of all of those. This is what's going to cost you. But it's going to be nominal relative to the value that they receive. And there's no way that they could do all this stuff themselves. So they're going to look at it once they understand and say, absolutely, this is a no-brainer.
And that brings the second question I had in mind. Once they understand, is this a pain point that your target customer knows they have and are eager to solve for? What is being done about it today?
Absolutely is. Really, the only thing that's being done about it is some of the larger companies are working with larger vendors to push their data into the cloud, just their data in the cloud. So that's just a bespoke application, if you will. Nobody is building a platform today that's going to be agnostic to the applications that sit on top of it, as well as take data from multiple customers, normalize it, deal with quality issues, et cetera, et cetera. So it's just not being done yet.
So once you really productize this offering, it's going to be sky's the limit to scale, it sounds like, which is exciting. So congrats.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The scale is inherent in it, for sure.
All right, let's give it up for me.
Thank you.